My name is Dave McMullin. I'm the Chief Business Officer of Anumana, and we're here to talk about Anumana and the exciting artificial intelligence-based medical devices that we're developing here in the US and internationally. It's a very, very exciting topic and an area which we think can really introduce a breakthrough, if you will, in the way clinical practice is done in cardiology. We have developed a set of algorithms which utilize artificial intelligence to take the electrocardiogram, standard, readily available, widely used electrocardiogram, and extract information from it, which is useful to clinicians and is impossible to achieve without the aid of advanced analytics through artificial intelligence. All of our algorithms are being tested and developed in a way so that they can stand up as standalone medical devices, and they all have the potential to help identify diseases which are otherwise occult or hidden because of their non-specific nature. Our algorithms essentially can help clinicians see these diseases begin to emerge earlier and do something about it. As you pointed out, we have received FDA Breakthrough Device designation for 3 of our leading algorithms. LVEF, or left ventricular low ejection fraction, is our lead algorithm. That one addresses a very large indication. There's a lot of people who, in the earliest stages of heart failure or otherwise, can develop left ventricular low ejection fraction. And today, you have to go through the process of an echocardiogram to determine whether or not the patient is suffering from this condition. Our algorithm can give you a good indication whether or not it exists without ever having to do the echo. This puts clinicians in a position where they don't have to do as much guesswork before moving forward, and they can have a smart analytics coming back to them based on their standard of care to make that decision. Now, pulmonary hypertension is a little different in that it is more of a rare disease. It is also a condition that requires, you can use echoes, but it does typically require right heart catheterization, a more invasive procedure to definitively diagnose. And we have the potential to identify a risk and aid in that decision-making process much earlier based on a simple ECG. Hyperkalaemia is another algorithm which has quite a different use case. Through nuanced patterns in the ECG using artificial intelligence, we can actually determine when potassium levels go out of sync with the normal range in a patient. This puts you in a position, again, to have a very rapid indication, not requiring the typical lab testing that's necessary to see the potassium levels. Each of them required their own discussion with the FDA based on the use case and the supporting data, and we have been successful with all 3 to get FDA Breakthrough Device designation. Anumana is a company that works in close partnership with Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic Ventures actually invested in Anumana, and Anumana has leveraged a de-identified data set that's been developed at Mayo Clinic together with a health technology partner called Inference to develop these and continue to refine our algorithms. So the training data has utilized de-identified data at Mayo Clinic. Obviously, we have to do a lot of work using advanced techniques to build the right cohorts and the right controls. But that is not enough. We also test these algorithms outside of Mayo Clinic to ensure that we've developed a product that is not overtrained in that initial data set. We've already conducted some of this testing, and we have much more of this testing to do going forward, but the results are very encouraging. We have seen that we're able to develop models that are picking up on conserved biological signals and therefore do perform when you test them outside the training data set. You know, I think one of the best ways to answer this question is with a specific example. So we have an algorithm that's been trained to determine, based on a normal sinus rhythm ECG, whether that patient whose sinus rhythm is normal has experienced an unobserved atrial fibrillation. This could be a real breakthrough because it's literally using an algorithm to determine whether or not there has been an aberrant pattern in the history of that patient or recent history of that patient. And to give you a very clear example of one case that was described in a stat article, there was a study on this algorithm done within the Mayo Clinic, and a Mayo Clinic physician who had worked at Mayo Clinic for many, many years decided to participate in this study, and he had the AI run on his ECG, and it came out positive. So that indicated that this algorithm was saying, hey, you have experienced an atrial fibrillation. Now, he had never felt that. He'd never thought that that would be the case, but he went ahead and got himself monitored, and sure enough, did identify that he was experiencing atrial fibrillation. And with that information, he was able to move forward with the appropriate changes in his lifestyle and treatment practice in order to manage the risk that comes along with an atrial fibrillation. That just gives an example where even if a physician is able to go with a condition in their heart that's undetected, what additional value could be added if we do this generally? So patients and their healthcare practitioners don't have to do as much guesswork with conditions that could be under the radar because they're non-specific. They can use AI to help them understand what dynamics are going on, understand what the biomarkers in the hearts are actually telling us, and do further diagnosis and subsequent treatment earlier than is currently possible. I really believe AI is here to stay. I think what we see with the growing number of applications of AI, not just to replicate what humans do, but to do, as Anumana is, do things that humans cannot do. I think it will continue to be embedded in existing medical devices. I think it will be embedded and be the basis of new medical devices. And I also think it will be applied in applications which do not require regulatory approval. So I think we will see AI continue to improve the efficiencies of clinical practice and also the effectiveness of clinical practice. I do believe in the future we will see an adoption of software as medical device in a way that today parallels what we typically think of as a hardware place, and that is the medical device industry. Even today in non-cardiology fields, we see companies pursuing digital therapeutics, so software solutions, which can be prescribed. Now, I don't know of any efforts for digital therapeutics in cardiology, but I wouldn't be surprised if that also is on the horizon. So the future in cardiology and AI, I think, is bright. It is already one of the leading fields, and it has the potential to be the leading field in AI going forward.